this jacket so much. It's my
Is it
favorite.
North Face?
No, it's Relwyn, which is it's a Huckberry brand. Have you seen the new Blackwing Eras pencils? Of course you
No,
haven't because you're not a
what?
fucking pencil weirdo, but if you
I
were,
type stuff.
uh
It's interesting to me that you hand write stuff. My hand just cramps up.
that's
Like
why
when
you
I'm
get
on my
good
key.
pencils. I know you think I'm crazy, but watch. This is a thing I'm working on called a more perfect union. I'm gonna frame a new constitution. Or
I
not a new
like
constitution.
that.
I'm gonna write out what I think the founders would write today.
Ooh, that's fascinating.
We'll see.
All the
Anyway,
stuff that I want to plug into I can just plug it into you and you'll
yeah,
just
that,
tell me.
yeah.
Because
I
that's
do
what I
have
use
this.
my
I have this
ChatGPT for.
theory that AI, while it sounds like really really scary, will be this thing where it will actually make better art because people will get so used to this like really basic like kind of baseline pristine type of writing, and the people that are writing in authentic voices will really start to shine. Like they'll kind of pull themselves away from the AI because you can already start to tell like the shit that everybody writes like is just like really really starting to sound very the same. Like it's everybody's kind of writing the same shit.
Yeah.
It has
I
this
use
like little
ChatGPT
tail.
as like a crystal ball. Like, chat, what do you think about this? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think there's some wins for it. I mean, people that just like straight up are like, write me a paper on whatever. Like, I think people that are using it to do away with the art part of it will give way to like better art because the real artists will really shine. Like, people will seek
Mhm.
out that unique voice kind of thing. I think that'll be really good. I think the same thing will happen with music. People are using AI for music now. And so then you'll have like this like Tom Waits Renaissance kind of music. Sorry, let's do it.
Let's do
Anyway,
it.
this pencil writes. It's very smooth. You don't have to like hold your pencil tight and do a lot of stuff.
It's beautiful. So, yeah, maybe it's because of my cheap little Dollar Tree mechanical pencils, but I prefer to type
Oh,
everything.
mechanical pencils are the worst.
Okay,
Um,
well, you'll have to talk pencils to me later. Hi, everybody. I'm Jenny Gage. This is Life Take Two, and I promised y'all a live stream on Wednesdays. And I try never to promise anything that I'm not going to deliver. And today I have one of my favorite peeps in the world, Mr. Robert Arnold. And I'm going to start saying,
hello.
as seen on TV, Robert, because after seeing
Oh,
you on
gracious.
CNN the other night, like,
It's a big deal. It's a very big deal. Thank you very much. Uh, sorry, I'm trying to get my things all sorted right.
and not
It's
for the wrong reasons, not because you were being like dragged into the back of a police car or you had like embezzled and you're on the list or anything, but you're on CNN for a good reason. And I was really happy that they had you.
well, me too. I was very. I didn't get to see it in real time. I found out about it kind of after the fact, but
Oh, so
um,
they didn't like call you and say, hello, Mr. Robert Arnold, this is CNN, and we're going to have you on tonight. You might want to watch the episode or anything. Like they didn't ask to use your piece or anything like that. They just kind of
nothing.
did it.
I was just a friend of mine's mom texted me and said, "Hey, you're on CNN," and sent a picture of my face on CNN. I was like, "Oh,
Oh my
that's neat.
gosh.
How about that?" Um, so yeah, it was for the piece that I wrote on the destruction of the White House, the East Wing, which you know
Oh, there's few
everybody's really
things going on
excited
right
about.
now that are bugging me more than that. Like that's to me, it's so symbolic of just the fact that everything that I ever thought that America was is being bulldozed. And to see the actual bulldozer in the frame with the White House. And Robert, I can't believe that's legal. I didn't know that we could just bulldoze the White House. Like
Technically,
it's
you can't.
sacred.
So there will be there will be some lawsuits. Technically, no. They're going to find loopholes. That's what this administration does. Is that they they try to govern the same way you would run a business, which is get away with as much as you can and find the legal technicalities that get you out of it. If you're having to govern by loophole, it's not a good faith governance. And so the idea was that they could you can you can remove non-load bearing walls without permission. Like you don't need oversight. That's so that they can do minor repairs and stuff. So you can take out a non-load bearing,
East
non-structural
Wing.
wall. It was supposed to be the awning, right? That's a non-load bearing structure. It's just an awning. And so I would imagine what they did is they started there and then whoops, there was an accident. We hit this wall and now we're just going to, oh, look, there was a misunderstanding. There will be some lawsuits filed. I don't know how far they go or whatever, but no, there's not. Um, it's not legal in the way that you would. Nobody else would do it. There's not a single other
Mm-mm.
leader that would have done it. So
Nobody else is crazy enough. So, Robert, if you aren't already following Robert, he's over on TikTok, he's on Substack, he's here on YouTube as Robert Arnold. And please go give him a follow, get his book, and make sure you hold on to it and never sell it or take it to the used bookstore because it's going to be worth something one of these days. I just have a feeling.
you're far too.
And here's how I start almost every day. I have to work before Kevin wakes up a little bit, so I have some computer work. Sometimes I'm on my phone. I pull up my phone and I head for Defiance 13 to see what you're saying about stuff so that I can process the emotional abuse that I'm witnessing and experiencing through Donald Trump and his administration. So, was it last week that I clicked on your White House essay that was featured on CNN this week? And I think I laid in bed and cried for like 15 minutes after that essay. It just hit me. So I see why CNN and everybody is sharing this video with everybody. It's like the video seen around the world right now because you kind of squeezed our guts. So, do you want to read that to us? And then we're going to go through 10 things. So, we each have 5 things that we think are giving us panic attacks about America right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna run through this. I've got to jump off for just a few minutes, and then I'll jump right back on with you. I think this meeting I've got to get on is only like 5 or 6 minutes.
Oh,
So
is that on like in like 3 minutes from now?
yeah,
Okay.
4 minutes. I'm gonna
Oh,
read
I
this though.
misunderstood when it was.
That's
Okay.
okay. We got this. Are you ready?
Okay. We got this. Read
Uh,
fast.
Nobody's mad that there's a renovation happening at the White House. We should get that straight right now. Nobody's throwing a fit about scaffolding or restoration or updates to wiring systems that predate color television. We all know the building itself isn't sacred in its drywall, it's sacred in its symbolism. And we've lived through construction before. The Truman era gut job that in the late 40s that rebuilt the damn thing from the inside out. The Kennedys didn't just paint the walls, they curated history inside those rooms. Teddy Roosevelt basically invented the West Wing, and FDR put elevators and a pool in, and nobody lost their mind. Nobody lost their minds. We get it. Supporters of this administration are already saying that others did renovations too, and it's not that different from past projects. And okay, let's sit with that for a minute. Yes, things have been built before, but this isn't about bricks or permits. This is about who is actually holding the wrecking ball. This is about who is actually doing the wrecking. This is about watching this particular administration, the most hollow, mean spirited, bucktooth parody of governance we've ever endured, is tearing down the east wing of the goddamn White House. No blueprint, nothing finalized, no design revealed, not even a public sketch that we could pretend meant something. That's not construction, that's symbolic. The optics of watching Donald Trump, a man whose entire political existence is a real estate scam dressed up in nationalism, destroy a historic part of the White House while promising a ballroom he hasn't even drawn up yet. It feels like the whole goddamn story of his term. Break it, sell it, lie about it, blame the press, move on before the dust settles. So no one's surprised that he doesn't have a plan. He has never had a plan. But gentle Jesus Christ, the bar is so low that it's underground and we're still tripping over it. And all the while, as people will twist every law into a pretzel to say this isn't technically illegal, that you can start non load bearing demolition without full NCPC review. But let's just ask out loud, what the fuck are we doing? We are watching a grown man with the emotional IQ of a pipe wrench demolish the east wing of the White House, the visitor's entrance, the First Lady's office, the connective tissue of ceremonial governance with zero plans made, zero approvals, and zero understanding of how this looks when you're leading a nation already gasping for air. It's the same administration that just ordered 2 private jets for DHS to the tune of $170 million. It's the same administration that cuts school lunches with one hand and signs checks for marble with the other. The same administration that treats public trust like a casino buy in. Donald Trump is dog shit. His administration is dog shit. His skill set, dog shit. His reading level, you guessed it, dog shit. And if you voted for this and you love it and you think it's all just fine, I won't say that you're dog shit, but you're dog shit adjacent. You're the person that's holding the little bag. You're the one in my comments section who says, actually, the founders wanted like it's some kind of holy water for fascism. But the truth is it's not about a ballroom. It's not about a bulldozer. It's about who gets to, it's about whether history is a thing we preserve or just more plaster to be sold off in chunks to the highest bidder at a fundraising gala at Mar-a-Lago. It's about the fact that we keep mistaking destruction for strength and gold trim for leadership. So no, no one's mad about construction. We're mad that the same guy who can't spell founding without autocorrect is now demoing the east wing of the People's House and calling it vision. But when the history judges this shit, and it will, it won't remember the ballroom, it'll remember the rubble. And one day, a little clown show, song and dance will come to an end. They always do. Pride goeth before the fall, and whatever comes next will bury every remnant of what it thought was glory and leave it there rightfully forgotten. I promise you that. Defiance till death.
And with that, you need to hop over onto
I
a Zoom
do. I'll
call.
be right
Thank
back.
you.
I
Okay,
promise. Thank
I'll be
you.
here. I'm hanging out. So, you guys, thank you for chiming in and for joining us this afternoon. I just wanted to pop in and say hi for a few minutes and um, share a couple of thoughts. I think that right now for me, I'm I've been talking about the Mormon church. I've been talking about the patriarchy. I've been talking about Christian nationalism for about 6.5 years, but it seemed like it was so far away. And I saw it as a threat, but it wasn't something that was actively part of our lives. And with the Trump inauguration, with this White House, and some of the things that are going on right now, I see real life stuff happening around me in my friends' real lives. For instance, one of my friends who I used to podcast with quite a bit, and I'm going to try and have her on next week just to talk about it. She has lost her home. She's 30 something years old. She has 2 children, beautiful home, had to move in with her mom because of some of the early cuts to help with people with autism and some of the disability stuff that was impacted right after the inauguration. She used to receive money to help with her son, who is a fairly low functioning autistic. So her full time job is just taking care of him, making sure that he gets all the help that he needs. And it's really difficult for her to work full time. She's a single mom. And she's done just fine for years. And as of last month, she has lost her home, moved in with her mom. Some of the friends in our inner circle, like some of our best friends, are on government furlough right now because the government shut down. One of our friends, her the wife works as a part-time health aide in a private school. Husband is furloughed. And yes, at some point his job will come back, hopefully. But in the meantime, they're just living on her part-time salary. So we're really seeing stuff for the first time that's impacting us in major ways. So yeah, he's pretty much a terrible human being. It's one of those things like when you turn on the news and the news is always telling you just how awful things are. That's one thing. I think that Fox News, CNN, ABC, they're always kind of trying to keep us riled up so that we tune into the news to see what happened next. This is the first time for a very long time that, like, as long as I can remember in my life, since like September 11th and the pandemic, when we've had real life stuff happening around us where people's lives are changing because of what's happening in the White House. And it's really hard. If you're just tuning in, Robert Arnold is going to be back with us in just a minute. And we just wanted to pop in today and just kind of share some of our thoughts, share what we're thinking and doing about things. Just a couple of notes for anybody who is in Canada, for any of my Canadian people out there. My documentary just dropped last week, and I think that you can see it here. Let me just tune in really quick and see. Dum, 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 dum. Okay, it is on CBC, and I've been told that you can see it online. Here in America, we can't see it at all, but it's the Passionate Eye documentary on CBC TV. And the title of my documentary that I got to be part of is Big Feminine Energy. And I thought it was great. It was really interesting just seeing all the different women. It told this well-rounded story, kind of like what does it mean to be a woman from all kinds of different perspectives. So I know my Canadian followers were all asking to see that, and that's where it's at. It's CBC. It's at Big Passionate Eye. And the episode is called Big Feminine Energy. Where are you guys watching from? What's going on today? Sorry. Okay, so Robin and I'm going to go through. We have 10 things that are making us panic about America right now. And number one for me is the blatant racism that we are seeing out in the open for the first time in a really long time. I was going through some Charlie Kirk and just some general Turning Point USA videos here. I have a video that I'm doing tomorrow on the Turning Point USA Foundation, and it's crazy to see some of the racist nuance that they engage in on a pretty consistent basis. I've been shocked as I do videos about racism and white supremacy and like some of my past experience in the alt right. I've been shocked to see some of the comments coming up on my videos on all of my platforms with people who are just blatantly out in the open, hateful in ways that I've personally never witnessed in my lifetime. And I come from the alt-right. I come from Mormonism, which was a racist organization. So I think that racism is the biggest problem. All of my Sunshine State people, hello San Diego, hello Phoenix. And I'm a Tucson girl, but originally from Scottsdale. I've been down in Tucson for 7 years now. So I love it. You know, I always fantasize about moving somewhere else, and then I get somewhere else, and it snows and it rains, and then I always end up coming back. In 20 minutes, I'll be heading up to Phoenix for the afternoon. Yeah, racism is the biggest problem. And I think that a lot of what's going on with the SNAP benefits right now, um, yeah, you're in Alabama. Like, are you seeing a lot of it down there too? Like, for the first time ever, like West Coast people are racist in ways that I've really never witnessed. I think a lot of the SNAP and some of that assistance is being cut. I think that it is targeted racism because there is a perception within the alt-right, there is a perception within MAGA that most of the people that receive food stamps are African American, Latinos, that's the majority of people. But I was pulling some data yesterday, and a lot of people that are on food assistance are just white women in general, far more women than men. In fact, by ratio of 2 to 1, twice as many women are on SNAP benefits and twice as many women are in poverty than men. Um, so it is kind of targeted. Yeah, America was built on racism. And I think that this is one of our biggest problems right now. There's this little allegory that I love. I can't remember what book it came from, some, like, business success book that I read years ago, but definitely not one of the Trump books. But, the story goes like this. A woman was cooking their Christmas dinner, and she took out this beautiful honey-baked ham, and before she put it in the oven, she took the electric knife and she sawed the ends off the ham, put it in the oven. Year after year after year, she sawed the ends off that ham, and one year, her husband finally asked her, "Why do you saw the ends off?" And she's like, "I don't know, that's just what you're supposed to do with a honey-baked ham." So the husband's like, "Well, who told you that? Where'd you get that from?" And she says, "Well, my mom taught me that." So finally, one year, they end up at grandma's house for Christmas dinner. And the husband asks grandma, "Why do you guys cut the ends off the ham?" And grandma laughs and she says, "I don't, but I did for a while because we lived in a tiny apartment when the kids are growing up and it had such a tiny oven that the ham didn't fit. So I had to cut the ends off to get it in the oven." And the wife had been doing that for years. It wasn't anything necessary. It wasn't beneficial in any way. She was cutting the ends off the ham because that's what she had seen her mom do. And in so many ways, what we have going on in America right now is we're cutting the ends off the ham. We don't know why we do things the way we do them. These are traditions, these are social mores, these are value systems that have been passed down to us from previous generations, like our gender roles, the overt racism and some of the covert racism that exists in America. Some of these things have been passed down for generations, and we don't even realize that we're doing them, and we don't know why we're doing them. And if anything, I think the Trump administration is making us look so much at our culture and the values and ideologies that drive us as Americans. So, yeah, America was founded on racism. The whole world used to be racist. The whole world isn't still racist. We've just been kind of an autopilot. We've been cutting the ends off the ham. We've been doing things the way that our family was doing things. And it's time for us to take a really good look at all of our behaviors, the things that we're teaching our children, especially what the next generation is being taught, and get rid of the stuff that no longer serves us. I think that that's one of the biggest. I love this comment. I think that this is one of the biggest problems with Trump right now is that he does give you permission to be your worst self. You know, when you go to different people's homes, how there's always such a different feeling between different families. Some of our friends, like, they'll put their feet up on the coffee table and they don't take their shoes off, or they do take their shoes off. Some of my friends, there's always like TVs and music on, and the house is really loud, and maybe it's not very tidy or whatever. And some of my friends, it's just like peaceful and quiet, and they have Zen music going on in the background, and everything is organized and perfect. And no matter how many kids they have, no matter how big the family is, the parents usually set that tone, right? So my girlfriend who's all yoga zen, like, she's just your typical like little Mormon soccer mommy that like goes to yoga and bakes all the sourdough bread, but with like a very zen twist to it. Um, her home is spotless. Her kids are all into yoga. The parents set the tone, right? In America right now, we have Donald Trump. He's like the bad daddy who's setting the tone for everybody in the family. And we're all just unraveling because we feel like we can. But I think, like, for me, honestly, I feel like it's good that we're seeing some of this stuff because this has been going on below the surface. If you're new to me, I was a Christian nationalist, white supremacist, alt-right. I was prepping for Jesus to come back. Like, my community made the Charlie Kirk and MAGA followers look kinda normal, like, they were so mainstream compared to what I was involved in, and there are millions of people with this ideology across the country, and it's just kind of been quiet. Like, I've been on my TikTok and here on my YouTube talking about my experience and what people inside my community felt and the behaviors that they were engaged in for years, and everyone was just like, "Oh, Jenny, come on," right? Like nobody believed me. Everyone thought that I was exaggerating because they just didn't see it. And I think that it's actually a positive that Trump was elected so that now people are saying the quiet stuff out loud because now all y'all see what I've been seeing my whole life, right? Yeah, this kind of needed to be exposed because they've been really good at hiding this stuff, right? And it's been there. Like, I've had so many people reach out to me and just say, "I never even knew that Charlie Kirk existed until the very tragic assassination." I knew he existed. I followed him from the very beginning. I've followed Turning Point for years. I have nieces and nephews and people that go to some of the Turning Point conferences. He's huge in the Christian community, at least the Christian community that I was part of. So, I'm glad that more people now are aware of Turning Point. Like, that is definitely the gift of the Trump administration. Trump's not the one who started the fire yet. He's definitely a system of the larger issue. So, Viper, the way that I put it is Trump didn't invent this cult, but he merged all of these groups that had a lot of similarities. Like, you would never think I would have never thought when I was leaving the Mormon church 7 years ago that the Mormons and the evangelicals and the Baptists were all gonna come together and agree on something like they have with Donald Trump. Like, it's absolutely shocking. But he took every Christian nationalist group, every white supremacist group, every group that follows the 7 mountains or the 7 pillars, all of the preppers that are waiting for Jesus to come back, that think that culture has been corroded by other races and other religions and other nationalities and things like that. He took all of those groups and he merged them all together in one purpose. And that's the terrifying part to me. Yeah, he's definitely the tip of the iceberg. Like, when I was a newlywed, I don't know how many of you guys, like, have cockroaches where you live, but I'm an Arizona girly, and I've spent a lot of time in, like, Hawaii and Mexico, and our roaches are as big as the chihuahuas, right? And I remember when I was a newlywed, and it was the first time that I'd ever had, like, roaches in my home. We lived in this apartment, and there were all of these, like, ponds and grass and palm trees, and the roaches just loved that. And so one day we saw a roach, and I remember my granddad saying, "There's never just one," right? There's never just one. When you have a Donald Trump, he's supported by a system. There's millions of them. They're inside the walls. We just haven't seen them. They're there in the dark. And the thing is, like, these some of the conversations that are being had, like the young Republican stuff, I've heard those same conversations at the dinner table with my family my whole entire life. Like, there's so much more that there's so much more that's going on than what anyone will ever see hit CNN or hit your TikTok or your YouTube. For every leaked conversation from the young Republicans, there's another couple of thousands of those text threads going on right now that we're just never going to want to see. It is like the tip of the iceberg. Yeah, he's egregiously exploiting the groups and dogma. And his code talking, it's funny. I'm so glad, Julia, that you brought up the code talking. Trump's code talking is so specific and so intentional, and it works on everybody. They all hear. And it's almost like he's speaking in tongues where whatever he says, the Baptists hear it one way, the Mormons hear it another way. He's perfect at it. Okay, Robert, I have like, hello, welcome back.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Okay, is your mic'd back?
Does it does it sound good?
Yeah, I
Can you
think
hear
you're
me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, no, you can't.
Well, I can hear you.
But now it's better.
Oh, now it's perfection.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't change it.
Hello,
What did you
Robert.
say?
And We've been talking about Donald Trump merging all of the cults and
Oh, yeah,
how
yeah, yeah.
that like all the right wing, all my stuff, all the Christian nationalism and everything, and racism. So, 10 things wrong with America. I stopped on racism and we've been talking all of that. So, uh, what do you think is one of the number one things going wrong in America right now?
The collapse of common spaces, per James Madison.
Oh,
James
and you're going to
Madison
pull
said
up.
that the town square is the most important part of American culture, that it would be the thing that tied communities together. And so as we lose parks and libraries and shared public spaces, as we lose the commons and the greens, we lose that built-in melting pot, that the civic ideals and community is what we lose, and that's a big one. It's so that's mine.
I think that one's so important. That's not on my list. And there's something about being a keyboard warrior and being at home watching Fox News, and also just how your group can be just people like you, right? But when you go out to that town space, that town square, I didn't know you were going to quote Madison on me. Um, you see other people and you connect with them human to human. Like I go to my farmer's market, I don't know who's MAGA, who's like infiltrating us from Russia. I don't know. I see people. I see a tomato farmer. I bond with tomato farmer. I know everybody's names. That's a really good one.
I
Okay.
often say that they try to paint this picture of violent leftists and whatever.
I know.
You can do that in you can do that if we don't all, but we all go to Walmart together and we all go to the store and see each other out in public and we know that there's no violence going on. It's hard to sell that in such a vast place, like in the vastness of the United States, because you can't control a narrative in 50 states. And um, so they can say that stuff. But again, the common areas allow us to see that it hurts that narrative for them quite a bit, I think.
I love that. Okay. My number two thing is we no longer have government by the people. We're not a representative government. Abraham Lincoln in the Gettysburg Address talked about government by the people, of the people, and for the people. And currently, I think one of our biggest problems in America that is making me panic a little bit is that it's government by the rich white people, the lobbyists, the oligarchs, and I don't feel like anybody represents me at all. I don't feel like the people at the top who are building the ballrooms and flying around the world on Scottish vacations and things like that. I don't think they have any idea what it's like to be Jenny Gage living in an 8,000 square foot apartment in Tucson, Arizona, with a couple of kids in college, just every month trying to crunch the numbers to make my life stay afloat. They
She
have
didn't
no
mean
idea.
8,000 square feet.
Did I say 8,000 square feet?
It's 8,000 square feet.
800 square feet. It's
It's a big place,
tiny.
y'all. It's a big place. 8,000 square foot condo. A little baby 8,000 square foot condo.
Yeah, I'm not bougie like that. So I think that's one of our biggest problems. I think that the government, both their lack of experience being commoners and their lack of interest in what our everyday lives are, and just being solely focused on their, similar type of people, politicians and lobbyists looking out for one another. I think that that's a huge problem in America right now. We are no longer represented.
Uh, I think that the idea that we have lawmakers that don't understand lawmaking, i.e., like the lock in barometer of how to, the lock in barometer of how do we equate a law versus morality? Are we laws are not supposed to define right and wrong. Morality is what that is for that. And
Mm.
so we have these lawmakers that have no idea what they're doing. Like they don't understand the difference. Um They're not reading theory and philosophy. They're going in because, oh, I ran a business for a while, so I'm qualified to be a lawmaker. It's just not. It's just not true. Um, and we have people that consider themselves pro Constitution and pro Trump at the same time. And I don't even mean in the way that like he doesn't pay much attention to the Constitution. I mean in the way that he doesn't understand the Constitution in any sort of he doesn't understand the ideas behind the Constitution. Not that he's breaking amendments or he's subverting it regularly. I mean in the idea of constitutionality from Madison was that there would be friction between the powers and that's where democracy would thrive is in the friction and that there would be no collusion of the branches. And so whenever you are actively seeking to have collusion of the branches to consolidate power, you are not a constitutionalist. And if you support Donald Trump, I don't care if you're Republican or not, if you support Donald Trump and you call yourself a constitutionalist and you don't understand the goddamn Constitution, and it makes me mad. I get a little fired up about it. Sorry.
I have never thought about that before. So we can't, whether you're MAGA or not, if you support Trump, you don't support the Constitution because Trump, has he read it? I don't know.
We haven't made laws based on Lockean barometer in decades. They try to legislate morality. That's why they put the Ten Commandments in classrooms. It's not because they love Jesus or God. It's because if they can get you to confuse law with morality, they can legislate morality. The same way they can legislate law. There's two laws listed in the Ten Commandments. The rest of them are morality, right and wrong based on your chosen faith. It's not illegal to lust after your neighbor's wife. Like there's nothing illegal about it. You can do it all day long if you want to. You can't go try to marry her. Like there's there are, but the things listed in the Ten Commandments are not laws. They're moral guidelines.
Oh,
So
interesting.
uh, we just don't legislate correctly, not in the way that it was intended to be. But nobody understands anymore. That's the problem. We do not, and nobody asks those questions of our lawmakers. Whenever we go to these town halls and stuff, we don't. Nobody stands up and says, "Hey, what are you going to do different than the last guy? Is it just that you're going to get there and figure it out? Because that's not going to work. It never works. Tell me how you're going to make laws and what your moral grounding is and your ethical grounding on making those laws and how you're going to do it. I don't care if you're a Republican and you think that fiscal responsibility is a primary concern. How are you going to make laws and how are you going to design those laws? And most people can't answer that question. Anyway.
Okay, was that your next thing? Or do you have a next? Okay, go.
No, it's your turn.
Wait,
That
but
was
was that
mine.
yours? That was yours? Okay. I was just
Yeah.
making sure that you weren't just like, okay, hold on.
I'll
I got
go
out of
on
my
and
thing. I
on. You
clicked out
can't.
of
You
it.
got to stop me. I'm sorry.
No, we want you to go on and on. Okay. The new American caste system where we hate the poor. America was a land of opportunity, and the American dream was poor immigrants could come in and work hard and be decent people and build a life for themselves. In fact, that's why all of my ancestors, 100% of my ancestors who came from the old world, came to America because they were never going to move up that caste system. They were never going to be able to climb the ladder of society. And so they sacrificed everything to come to America and, frontiered and all that stuff, homesteaded. And to date in America, the caste system is so locked in that it's getting more and more difficult for people who experience intergenerational poverty, for immigrants, things like that, to ever climb that system. And just that hatred for the lower class, which I know that we're seeing a lot, as the SNAP benefits expire. If you want to see exactly what this caste system looks like, first of all, I've heard this my whole entire life. I come from rich Mormons, and we'd sit around the dinner table and talk about all the losers who, why don't they get jobs and why don't they repent and build better lives for themselves? So definitely hatred towards the poor. And I don't want to pay taxes for this because I work hard for my money. So why would I help them out? But if you really want to see this right now, go to any Facebook or Instagram or TikTok video about the SNAP benefits going away and see all of the people talk about the losers who should just go get a job. The
Did you know that
comment section.
74% of people on SNAP benefits work 35 plus hours a week?
Mhm. I was on
Um,
food stamps 2 years ago. I have my food stamps card right here. I was on food stamps because my husband abandoned me and my children, and I was working. I had no college education. That's not true. I had 2 years of a college education. I'd never had any work experience. Nobody had ever taught me any skill that could make any money. The time that my marriage ended, I had 4 children, 2 in college, 3 of them still living at home with me. I was given full custody of the children with absolutely no support. My ex-husband paid nothing. Every month I got 0. There was nothing. And so I started a little furniture flipping business. I think my first month I made $900 in my furniture flipping business. I worked hard. I was out in the Arizona sun. I am disabled. I'm a high functioning disabled woman. I had a brain injury that made it very difficult for me to get a job. I didn't have any family support to help me drive kids to school and things like that. So that was all I had. That was all I could do. I'm a smart woman. I work hard, and there was no way for me to make any more than what I was making. If I hadn't had my food stamps card, like, just the feeling of the first time that I got this, just being able to go in the store and, like, buy the milk and buy the cereal and buy the stuff that we hadn't had for a while. Um,
I think of a lot of times like the way we treat people that are on any sort of assistance is the have you ever experienced the phenomenon of somebody that gets a first class upgrade?
yeah.
The immediate change in their attitude from like they were in coach and then they got a free upgrade and now they're like the first person in line to get in the fucking plane and or talking down to people because they're in first class. It's my favorite thing to witness in an airport is somebody getting a first class upgrade that didn't that all of a sudden then is better than everybody that's in coach that they were a part of 2 minutes ago. That's I think there
Oh,
is
that's
this
so
idea.
interesting.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, that's just interesting. That's something, like, I wanna just put a pin in that because, yeah, you're one type of person, then you win the lottery, and all of a sudden you're better than everybody.
It's an interesting I remember when they went to the card, the debit card for EBT from the actual stamps, and the people that I knew that were upset that people would have a card instead of stamps, even though it was a more cost effective way to do it. Um, because there wasn't the
Shame.
yeah, then they could do it without having to feel ashamed of having food stamps. It's like, well, I mean, that's the whole idea is that we take away the I remember this so vividly because I remember thinking, why do you want them to have to be ashamed of buying their food?
Hmm.
Um, and it just registered with me as that I think that there's a fundamental issue with the way we're treating people. If you are upset that somebody doesn't have to be ashamed, because when I heard it, I was like, oh, that's great. People don't have to be ashamed. Like that was my thought as a child. Was that oh, that's good, and then to hear adults around you say um, that wasn't that they should that they didn't agree with it, and you knew it
That
felt
right
like
there,
because they should be ashamed that they have to ask for help. And
it's a problem.
um, yeah, it just shouldn't be that way. And I
Mm-mm.
get it that some people feel like they are owed something or that somebody's getting something they're not getting. But if you're not making ends meet either, that should exist for you too. It shouldn't be. Um, we're mad at the wrong people, but we all say that. It's nothing new. We're mad at the wrong people. Instead of we spend $90 billion a year on SNAP benefits, and we spend about $194 billion on corporate subsidies. We could eliminate both of those things if we would just make corporations pay people a living wage. So it's not about fiscal responsibility. Republicans don't give a shit about fiscal responsibility. They say they do, but they don't even know what it fucking means. If you asked a Republican what they would spend the money on if you got it all back and it was all in government pockets, if we cut all these programs, what would you spend the money on? They don't know. They don't know. They just want to be mad about something. And this is from personal, like I know these people. I talk to these people. They don't have a clue. Anyway, sorry. I got a little tangential there.
Your tangents are so full of wisdom. Okay, I gotta go in like
Okay.
30 seconds, but give me another one.
The commodification of the human soul. We've turned art and everything into something we can market or sell. Um, and so we put a value on things that is all monetary. Art has a monetary value. We buy and sell it. It is not valued at the for what it does to us, what it gives us anymore. We've commodified it. It has a
There's a price
dollar
tag
and
on
cent
everything.
value. Yeah. And I
Do you know
think
what
that's
that
a
bothers me the
problem.
most? I love that. I'm glad that that's on your list. Where that bothers me the most is our relationships. Like, I can't just fall in love with someone anymore and just, do like the hand fast ceremony or just have a little wedding in my backyard and pick some flowers and say some vows and now you own my heart, right? Our relationships have been hijacked in really kind of gross ways. Like, you can't get engaged, you can't fall in love, you can't do anything without having to purchase so many things, and it's just dollar signs for all of the people at the top. The wedding industry is huge. I have a couple videos on the wedding industry, and it's just like, I think it's criminal because we've been turned into just these giant from birth until death, somebody's making money off of us. The entire human experience has been monetized. It doesn't have to be.
Well, we've turned it into when my parents got married, there was no engagement ring. My dad just asked my mom to marry him. And then they went and got married at the church. They did it after Christmas, so there would be flowers and that the sanctuary would be decorated. And
Mhm.
they had a cake. And lunch was a potluck. Mom said they spent $400 on the wedding. And they loved it. It was a great, that's what people did. She was like, that's just what people did. That wasn't abnormal. You just had a wedding inside your means. And then at the first anniversary, they were doing a little better, and Dad bought her a .7 carat diamond ring. Like point, very small, but it was pretty. He said. Um, she still wears it. Like she still has it. Um, and over the years, she's gotten progressively. You know, he's they've improved the jewelry over the years. But it was there was this idea of that they lived inside their means, and now we have these expectations of going into debt and all these things, and it's just pressed upon us. It is the idea that this is the standard. This is the you've got to have two car payments and a house note, and you've got to you have to be in debt to buy groceries and shit. It's uh, they've created a system where we are crushed by it, and then we are beholden to it. We don't have any way out.
Mhm.
Um, coming and going, they've got us. Anyway, sorry. I hate
I
it.
love how you
Did you know that there are
apologize.
people alive today that didn't have to get a marriage license?
No,
Like
I love
that's
that.
that was a thing that they started in the 50s so that states could regulate who got married. Like when they were trying to keep interracial couples from getting married. Like it's not an old thing. It's fairly recent
Robert,
in the
can we
scheme of
continue
things.
this another day?
Of course,
My my,
you know my
um
rule.
my ride to Scottsdale is leaving in, like, 30 seconds,
Get
and
out of
I've
here.
gotta
We'll
hop
talk
off.
to you
So,
later.
thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me this afternoon. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and please go check out Robert's stuff and grab his book, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.
Bye.